Hi, Preeti. Narsi here. Yogesh.
Yeah, hi, Narsi. Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Preeti is.
How are you?
Hi, Preeti. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Fantastic. I saw your name and photograph immediately. I said, yes, I'm joining.
Very kind.
So Narsi, not because of me, only because of Preeti.
You are the catalyst, and Preeti is the one who powered me this afternoon.
Okay, awesome.
So you only call me, Yogesh. Definitely, yes.
Okay. Good to have you, I think.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much for making it.
Yes, thank you. I'll go on mute.
Yeah, sure.
So Yogesh, we'll start in another 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, Aram, no problem. I think maybe we can give 3-4. It's 3:57. Maybe 4:2 or 4:03 we can start.
Yeah.
Hi sir, how are you?
Yeah. Good.
Yogesh, good morning. It's Chaya Masi.
Oh, good morning, Shyamasi. How are you?
Doing well. Good to hear you. Good to see you.
Yeah. So Preeti, Chaya Sumani joins us from New Jersey.
Lovely. Wow. What time is it there now?
It's 6:30 a.m.
Wow. Thanks so much for making it early in the morning.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you.
So great to have international audience.
Hi, Padma. Lovely to have you here. Long time.
Hi, Preeti.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, that gets me. Sorry, I didn't do this check. I hope you all can see me.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So hi Ajay, good evening. I can see you. So Preeti, we have Ajay from Arvind Brands with us today.
Wonderful. Hi, Ajay. I think we have quite a few people from Arvind Brands today.
Yes.
Hi Preeti, how are you?
So Ajay has been my participant for many programs and
Hi,
glad to have repeat customers.
This is Yoga Narasimha from Arvind Lifestyle Brands again.
Hi, welcome.
Hi sir, how are you?
Good, super.
Good, thank you.
Hi, Arunima. Arunima is from Times Internet, one of my dearest friends and a great client, Yogesh. She's also here.
Welcome.
Hi, Preeti. You are very kind, I must say. Thank you so much.
And I have Radhika as well from Sony. Hi, Radhika. Thanks for making it.
Yeah, US is very. Thank you, Preeti. Thanks for organizing this session. And thanks, Yogesh, for taking out time. We are quite eager to listen to both of you.
Sure.
This is a very interesting topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think need of the hour.
You're going to have a good time.
And I think we have Sujata and Vijay from SCIP, a law firm, an upcoming law firm. Hi, Sujata. We had a chat in the morning itself for them.
Thank
so
you for having us.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us.
Sure.
Hi Vijay.
Hi.
I hope you don't have too much of me today, given that you've already heard me in the first half.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yogesh, we are at 4:01 right now. Maybe another couple of minutes and we'll
Yeah. I think we should start in another 3-4 minutes. We should start.
Yeah.
Because we have quite a good number of people already. I think 40, 48, I think. Yeah, 43, 48, I think. Yeah, 48.
We had more than 140 registrations. So
Yeah, I think we should get around 60, 65 people.
yeah.
50% is generally the
Turnout. No,
Yeah.
but this time I have you for brand pull, no, Yogesh?
Oh my God. So never tip the waiter before you had the meal. So
So Preeti, there are 170 if we minus us, Catalyst.
Oh my God, okay.
अरे क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया, very nice. 170 is a good number.
Yogesh, this was Rekha from my team. She'll actually be handling the, the logistics of it. So Rekha, thank you for helping out.
Yeah.
So Rekha, you can put everybody once we start on mute, and if they want to unmute, they can unmute and speak.
Hi, Arpita. Hi. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier. How are you?
Hi Preeti, I'm good. Just wanted to update, another colleague is trying to log in but struggling a bit. So if you can give us 2 more minutes, please.
Sure.
Yeah,
No
thanks.
worries.
So Preeti, I asked people if they can share, how are they feeling right now, but I am still not seeing any responses. You can ask people to just in one word, how are they feeling right now?
Sure. So maybe you all can use the chat screen and just put one word there to say, how are you feeling right now? And I think we can start now, Yogesh.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So while you type out your responses, in a minute, we'll start as well. How are you feeling right now?
Arpita says hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Brilliant. Okay, so Preeti Agarwal says excited. Abhishek says curious. Okay, Manish says awesome. Very nice. Enthusiastic. Okay. Pensive. Okay, Amar Chegu is the man who runs up. Amar pensive, curious, emotional. Chaya Somani. Okay. Because Chaya Somani is known to me for so many decades. So maybe emotional because of that. Good, relaxed. Okay, happy, engaged. Okay, already engaged. Yeah, we are engaging with you right now. Great and happy. Okay, all right. Okay, Soumya says ठीक है, देखते हैं types. Yeah, Pooja Kulkarni. Okay. She sent a document also. Okay, grateful, happy. Oh, grateful. Thank you. Enthusiastic. Starting for next gen. Okay. Kumara says good. Yeah, so good. I think we have got good responses to start. Yeah, inquisitive. Okay. Mohit says inquisitive. Yes.
So we just wanted to.
Rahul Shinde says looking forward from Rahul Shinde from Pune. Welcome.
What do you think that the pending?
Okay, Saurabh. Namaskar. Welcome.
The email to you on 11th of May.
So shall we start, Yogesh?
Yeah. So I think we have who you said Rekha, right? Who is going to help us?
Yes.
So she can maybe put all of us on mute.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right away.
Yeah.
So Yogesh, I will start by setting context and by formally introducing you to the group. So welcome everyone to this webinar. It's not really a webinar, it's a chat session. I have been lucky enough to find some time with Yogesh. Yogesh happens to be more than anything else a very dear friend and in a lot of ways a mentor to me. In the kind of conversations he has had with me and the kind of guidance that he has provided me as I run my own enterprise Catalyst. And what I find truly unique about Yogesh is the fact that he's a very, very practical blend of business and HR. So Yogesh actually has 18 years of experience in IT business, running IT operations. The last organization that he was a part of was Wipro. And he has a very interesting story about how while, being a business person at Wipro, he ended up winning the Best People Manager Award from Azim Premji twice in a row. And he realized that, and I think it was not just a realization, but a calling where, developing people, working with people ended up being, the larger purpose that he found in life. And from there, he founded his own organization called Crossover Leadership Journeys. And for the last decade or so, he has been a facilitator and a coach, working not just in India, but internationally, in the US, in the UK, in different countries in Asia. He's been a speaker in many national, international forums. And in spite of all the kudos that he has earned across these years, an extremely humble and an extremely approachable human being and a great person to work with. So Yogesh, I'm eternally grateful to you for having made time out for this particular chat session. And I personally am really looking forward to the next 1 hour, in terms of what are the little nuggets of wisdom that I can pick up from you. Yeah. And
thank you so much. Yeah.
And I realize that some of you may not know me, so I'll quickly introduce myself as well. My name is Preeti Agarwal, and I run an organization called Catalyst. We are in the space of learning and development, and we typically use experiential formats for our learning. So we have been in the format of game-based learning for 11 years. And during this particular period of lockdown, we have quickly tried to move some of these experiential formats online. So we've been conducting a host of virtual sessions with different organizations. Some of those organizations happen to be on this call with us right now, on this webinar with us right now. So grateful to each one of you for having made it. Grateful to everyone, actually I think we have about 60 participants now. Grateful to each one of you for having made it here and for giving us your time. I promise you it's going to be a completely worthwhile, investment of time from your side. Also want to call out at the very beginning that Yogesh has very kindly agreed to stay on beyond 5 o'clock. For those of us who want to log off at 5, please feel free to do that. We will formally kind of, cover whatever it is we want to cover by 5. But for those of us who have, who have more questions, etc., Yogesh and I will be around to answer those questions. So that's something that I want to call out right away. And also a couple of things in terms of how we want to conduct this 1 hour. Number one is, like Yogesh said, we'll try and be on mute except for me and Yogesh, unless there is something that you want to share, because there's a lot of background noise that happens otherwise. So do feel free. In fact, please feel free to encourage with us, to interact with us. You can use the chat window freely throughout the session. I will be accessing the chat window, and I will try and bring out questions and comments to Yogesh as the conversation progresses. But if there is something specific that you want to say, do feel free to unmute yourself and say that. But just try and be a little cognizant of the time that you take in sharing whatever you want to share, and the background noise, if there is any. Try and be cognizant of that. I think that's the only, kind of way of working that I want to establish at the beginning. We will have a formal Q&A towards the end of the session in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But you can drop in your questions anytime on the chat screen. And like I said, since I will be accessing the chat screen, I will try and, bring them up for a discussion with Yogesh throughout. Yeah. So with that, I would like to start. So Yogesh, welcome formally to this webinar, this chat session. Yeah, very, very happy to have you here. And, I had this conversation with Yogesh about 2 days back, and this whole idea of this particular chat session actually began in my head on Monday. And I'll tell you how. So Yogesh, that's what I want to start the chat session with. One of my cousins, she's a young girl. She is less than 30 years of age. She works with a bank. And, on Mondays, she started her banking operations. So she's called Shruti. So she was asked to come back to office. They've started operations with 30% people. And in the evening, after she had come back from office, she kind of interacted with me on WhatsApp for a while, and then we had a long chat as well. But I'll tell you what she wrote to me on WhatsApp, and I'm reading the message, verbatim for all of you, and that'll help us set the context. So here is what she wrote to me. She said, I went to office today, but nothing except the office building was the same. The workstations were isolated and deserted. All meetings were anyway happening on Zoom or WebEx. Washroom usage was disciplined. The coffee bar was deserted and inaccessible. We had lunch at our workstations. Throughout the day, the fear of infection gnawed at me as I interacted with others. Even when I came back home, I spent 40 minutes sanitizing myself. I realized that I had achieved absolutely nothing throughout the day. This was one of the most stressful days in office, and I don't want to go back to office anymore. This is the message that I received from Shruti. And I realized that while lockdown has been tough for all of us, getting back to work in the middle of this uncertainty could probably be even tougher. And therefore, as individuals and as leaders and managers, emotional intelligence, the ability to manage these tough circumstances emotionally happens to be important. So Yogesh, in this context of uncertainty, how is it that we kind of manage our emotions better? That's the very first context setting question I have for you.
So Preeti, if I were to look at this case of, what is it, Stuti or Shruti?
Shruti.
So if you look at the Shruti's case, as a case in point, so I don't know her background, but so if she comes from a very joint family, where she has seen, a lot of people around and she's always been with people.
That's actually true. She has been in a joint setup.
Kya baat hai? So I think there is a possibility, because what happens is that I think people who are with me on the call who have done psychology or who come from that background would know that research tells us that all our experiences gets recorded in our limbic system. So don't worry about the terms that I'm using, but before 9 years of our age, pretty much all our experiences get kind of registered, and all our behavior from then onwards is a manifestation of that recording. So for example, if Shruti is someone who has lived in a joint family, who always had people around, and when she goes to office and when she doesn't see any of these people around, or she is very isolated, the intensity of that experience, that missing out, is much more stronger. So if you were I were to ask you this question, that what is the difference between feeling and emotion? Because this is the way I'm going to let you guys know through Shruti's life, that if you were to get a similar experience, how would you deal that? So if you can, in your chat window, just very quickly, you can write down what do you think is the difference between feeling and emotion. Yeah, you all, whoever wants to type in very quickly, just you can type in. I will also take a watch, look at it, what you're typing. Difference between feeling and emotion. And there is no right or wrong answer. You just, whatever comes to your mind, okay? Emotions are triggered by events, okay? Narsi says, okay? Feeling is a very physical state that can almost touch. Emotions are more in the mind, okay? Feeling is temporary, temporary emotion more permanent, okay? Feelings are inherent, okay? Okay, Narsi says feeling is external, emotion is internal, okay? Vijay says, okay? Emotion, okay? Feeling is what you experience, emotion is what you manifest, okay? Feeling is momentary, Sujata says. Feeling is a representation of emotion, okay? Fair. I think I got good responses. I think we can maybe stop there. So when you look at the research, by many people in this area, you might find a difference in this, definition by many people. What I have found is Richard Boyatis, Annie McKay, their research, I found it to be much easier to understand. So if you look at any small child also, when he's born with 4 feelings: sad, glad, mad, scared. Yeah, so these are the 4 which are very easy to remember also. So if you look at a small child, irrespective of whether he's in Delhi or is in Kerala or is in Chennai, doesn't matter. He's a 6-month-old child. If you're not around with him, he'll become sad. If you play with him, he'll become glad. If he's hungry, he'll become mad. He'll roll on the floor until you feed him, and become scared also if nobody's around him. Now, as we grow up, this forefeeling continues to be with us. But then this whole thing of emotion comes into play. Yeah, and emotion, as many of you have written, is the manifestation of feeling. So when Shruti goes to office, she might get one of the 4 feelings in office, either sad or scared, sad that nobody's around, scared because I don't know whether this bank will continue to keep me there. Mad is, why this COVID has happened to us, why did whoever, the claim about China creating it, such horrible experience, that she may get mad about it. Now, if she operates just from the limbic system, meaning the experience, and she might get all this manifestation. But now you can bring in the other element of our brain, which is the prefrontal cortex. We are calling it. So maybe Preeti, if you want to just put that slide on whenever you are ready, no problem. So that is called as the prefrontal cortex. And if Shruti were to start applying the prefrontal cortex with the limbic system, then she can do 2 types of processing of the emotion. So one of the processing which is just with the limbic system is, we are calling it as left side processing of emotion, which means that, why did this COVID happen? Why there are people not around? Why life has become so dull for all of us? That is left side processing of emotion. As she becomes more and more self-aware, she could also do a right side processing of emotion by connecting to the prefrontal cortex. So it is also called as rational brain, which means she would say to herself that maybe this is just, I think, couple of months. Once we get the vaccine around, I think we should be all right. It's good that at least I got the opportunity to come to the bank so that I can serve the customers. So if I continue to do that nicely for a couple of months, I think our bank with the top bank, and we'll get more business. Yeah, this is a time when I'm really getting some free time for myself, because otherwise there were so many people in the office all the time. So I could never spend time myself about building my skills on banking, or, like if my aunt is in, New Jersey, I could get extra time because my work is getting over faster. I can reach home. That is right side processing of emotion. Now, in general, a lot of people do left side processing more because they have not been able to consciously connect their limbic system with the rational brain. And this is a very intentional practice. Now, the whole game is that the more I start practicing, because our body, our mind is like an autonomous system, which means that if I do left side processing of emotion, my body will secrete cortisol. If I do right side processing of emotion, my body will generate endorphins. Now, endorphins has a natural quality of, firing neurons, giving you new ideas, building your immunity. Now, the more and more I do right side processing, the more and more I get new ideas. It's like upward spiral. If I do left side processing, it will start doing like a downward spiral. Now, since our brain is receptive to our intentional practice, which means, say from today's session, if you go back, and you apply this in any situation, you reach home or you are in lockdown in some state and you go out of this, this meeting, and then you expect, your spouse to keep a tea ready and it is not there ready on the table, for example. If you do left side processing, you will say, I did spend 1 hour in the session and they can't even create their tea for me, and they're idling, chit-chatting and not making tea for me. Right side processing would be, hey, let me take a break. I think let me create the tea myself for my spouse, for example. This is just giving an extreme case of experimenting that how, when you start physiologically changing, how the body starts changing for yourself. And Shruti, if she can go back next Monday, and if she's on the call, maybe she can try this right side processing and see how new ways she's experiencing herself. Yeah, so this was my basic fundamental of how we operate, and then we can take the discussion forward.
So yeah, thanks, Yogesh. So what I hear you say is that it's important for us to move from left side processing to right side processing, because that's when we engage the rational and the limbic system together.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I have a follow-up question on that one. This is the time when we are probably unable to engage our brain. We are constantly under pressure. We are constantly worrying, getting into this loop of negative thoughts. I don't know how big my salary cut is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to continue with my job for long. How is business going to turn out to be? My aging parents, or I don't know, several things that are bothering each one of us. We have our own unique stories. So how do I, at times you feel a little paralyzed by these feelings of worry. So how is it that we can re-engage the brain and, take control of things?
Yeah. So I think, Preeti, it's a very valid question. And I am also in the same field like many of us, which is a training field which get hit first when there is a, situation like this. So my recommendation, and I've been doing this for a lot of my participants, is that I think all of us should really have a structure to our life, which means that you should really have a routine, which may sound very mechanical at times, but I think you should have. So when you have a routine for yourself, then you are not giving too many opportunities for you to get those worrying things coming to you. So you are filling up your day beautifully. So for example, if I were to give you my routine, okay, so once I get up, I always make tea. For many years, that is one thing I do really well. And if you know Marwadis, I'm a Marwadi, we really put some masala in the chai. So really we make very nice tea, and Anshu, my wife, really loves, that tea. So that is like my routine, that first I get up, I make the tea. And maybe 15-20 minutes, we always have tea together. Yeah, that's my routine. And then I go for my either a morning walk, or now since we are in lockdown, I have looked at this channel called doyouyoga.com. It's a wonderful channel. This lady called Christine and Kate, they teach so beautiful exercises. So either I go on my terrace for my walk, or I do my yoga by 9 o'clock. I'm back, I take my shower, come to my office. We have put so many initiatives together, with my team. So at 11:30, we have call with the solutioning team. At 2:30, I have time with the content team. So essentially what I'm doing is in the evening, since both the sons are also now working from home. So we have set up a time at 5:30 to 6:30, which is the time when we usually don't take any calls. Unless it's an emergency, it's okay. But we try to go on the terrace. All of us have tea together or whatever, so that is 1 hour that we spend together. At dinner, we always have made a point that we don't watch TV and eat dinner. So we all on together on the dinner table. So what is happening is, if I look at my routine, it sometimes sounds very mechanical that you're running everything. But what is happening with this is, there is hardly any time I am getting to worry, because I am constantly utilizing my time really well. A lot of people, what they do is that they don't really put the structure in life. So what happens is that they get up, and since there is no pattern, they pick up the mobile and look at the WhatsApp. And by the time they have seen the WhatsApp, it is already 45 minutes from the time they are still on the bed. They have not made up their bed also. Then they get up and they are running around because they are not caught up with the things that the family members are expecting. Then they put on the TV, and then again in TV, they keep counting how many COVID cases has happened, what is Trump saying. Now, these are all, information which in the night you can watch the TV for half an hour or 45 minutes. That is good to be updated. But keeping the TV on for the entire day, and then, you form circles which are also related to that. So the idea is breaking that routine, which is drawing you towards no productivity, which you don't really have a control. Meaning, if people are not listening to the government, and people are, so there is no point you forwarding those WhatsApp messages or engaging in those conversations, because they're not going to add any value to yourself. On the other hand, if I go to things like pdfdrive.com, it's a wonderful website where you got, I think, millions of books freely available. Yeah. So whichever domain you are in, whichever area you are in, can I become an expert in that area using this time? So fill up your entire day in such a way that there is worry. I completely agree with you, but just worrying will not solve the problem, but putting this routine will solve the problem. Because tomorrow, if my customer, say, starts calling me after 1 month or 2 months, he's going to ask me that what is the new that you have learned from COVID, and what are the 2 new programs that I can explore from you. Also, importantly, there is a physiological connect with the way I think. So the more I worry, the more body secretes cortisol. If I worry too much more, then I think the body will consume insulin, and eventually one might need to die. I mean, this can go to that extreme. So I'm saying before something like this happens, and our body is like that, and it doesn't show you very immediately. You know, suddenly it will come up because for many days you have let your body generate so much of cortisol. So putting this routine and getting yourself in movement will reduce yourself from that tension or anxiety. So try this out for next maybe 2-3 weeks, and I think through Preeti, or you can connect me and share with me about your experience. So even if you're not feeling like doing the exercise, just go for a walk. Just, I mean, if you read Guy Winch, who is a phenomenal psychologist, he says that just make that one effort to put that routine, and then everything else will be taken care of.
Place. Excellent. I think that's a great input, Yogesh. I think just making that little effort of having a discipline or a routine in our lives can do wonders.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I want to actually draw your attention to another emotion that a lot of us are facing, because I spoke to a few of the people who have joined in for the session today beforehand, before we got into this. And another emotion that seems to kind of be taking over these days is that of anger. And anger can even be very misdirected. It could be anger towards, Narendra Modi, or towards migrant workers, or towards your, your spouse, or your boss, who, and you do realize at the back of your mind that actually it is not justified anger, but it exists. That emotion exists. And at times it completely, overpowers our rational thinking. So how do you manage anger? That's another thing that I have.
Very interesting. I think so. So I'm not going to go through many parts of the brain, because I don't want to overwhelm you with this medical science. And I'm not like a medical student. As Preeti was saying, I'm a complete business guy. I ran IT business for 18 years, 15 years in Wipro. So I frankly didn't know about all this till the time I got the award and I was invited to talk in the leadership program. And whatever I spoke was, how am I dealing with my team members, and that turned out to be something which is more medical and scientific. So I'll tell you the part of the brain that actually is responsible for anger. So this part of the brain is called as amygdala, and I think the trainers who are with me on this call would definitely know about this, but for them it will be a refresher. So this part of the brain is like a primitive brain, okay, and assuming that, say in this room, the ceiling is going to fall, I mean, a hypothetical case, yeah, and the amygdala constantly scans for threat, okay, so this amygdala part of the brain is scanning for threat. Now, if this ceiling is going to fall, the amygdala is going to get activated, and it is going to supply blood to the arms or to the feet. I can do two things at that time. I think I can hold the ceiling, or I can run from this room. Now that time, the blood from the brain is being diverted to the body so that it can take care of those fighting or flying from the place. So that time, the brain does not need any rational thinking, meaning I will not say at that time that, who is the architect, did we get the municipality permission? I mean, those rational questions right now is not required. Yeah, right now just run.
It's fight
flight or fight. Yeah. Now you would have seen this very regularly when before COVID, if you go to the airport and you ask the counter, the airline staff says that if I want to go to Bombay, the airline staff says that your flight is delayed by 5 hours, and I have got a very important deal to close on the other side. Amygdala will immediately get activated because it sees that delay as a big threat to the deal I am going for, which means you will start shouting at the airline staff. You would have seen people banging the floor, banging the counter. All that is all irrational. After 1 hour, if you go and meet that person, he himself would realize maybe I should not have shouted that loudly. Now, this amygdala can get activated many times. So for example, if my spouse, I'm giving this example of spouse because I can see a lot of domestic violence happening all over the world, and this can be very powerful for all of us. And I think if you like this, please share with as many people as you can. So what happens is this amygdala can also get activated in multiple other scenarios. So for example, if the other person is not agreeing to my point of view, okay, whatever it could be as basic as what mundane task you want the other person to do, the amygdala can get activated and you might become very irrational. Now this irrationality can go to, and again it goes back to the limbic system, which means if I have seen my father or my, my uncle or somebody responding so violently, or if I've seen a movie in my childhood wherein, if somebody doesn't listen to me, I think I should bang the person to make him listen to me, for example. Okay, this is operating from there. Now, many of these people do realize after some time that maybe for a small thing I should not have shouted so much, or I should not have gone to the other extreme of hitting somebody, but that is too late in the game. Yeah, because by that time the other person's amygdala also has got activated, and you can see what could happen. Now, if you start training our amygdala, which means you start building your self-awareness. So you would have observed that you don't really shout immediately. There is some signal that you get. So either your stomach will start aching, or you will have a heartbeat which is stronger, or I have seen some people eyes will flicker, or your hands will shake. Some signal you will get when you are really going to blow up. What you should do is, at that time you start connecting your amygdala and then slowing it down. In fact, I'm going to email you 4 slides which will give you a lot of ideas on how you can do that. And once you start training your amygdala, the same amygdala can slowly get calmed down. Meaning, so whenever you are like, and the same amygdala when you're at the airport, and if the airline staff says you that your flight is delayed by 4 hours, if you are training the amygdala to not, because this is not a threat which anyway you could, banging that counter will not give you the result. So you tell the amygdala, okay, there is a threat that my deal which I'm going for may not happen. So you start rationally slowing down your amygdala and telling the counter person, can I take a flight to Pune? Is there any other airline you can put me on? Yeah, what are the other options? Can I take a car from Pune? So you start discussing with that other person. So in the in the awareness that, okay, this is a threat, my amygdala is getting activated, can I do that? Now in the home front that I talked about, if you're upset with somebody, instead of getting angry and shouting, you will start asking the other person, hey, I asked you to do this, what did make you not do this? May I know, for example? And gradually you are also silencing the amygdala of other people. So you would have seen that a lot of people, the family's amygdala is very nicely trained. Yeah, so whenever there is a difference of opinion, they sit down, they have discussion, they clarify. And there are some families whose amygdala is completely activated. You go to their home, and if you, from a geography perspective, I think the amygdala in North is much more active than some of the other cities. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to mention everyone that Yogesh is from Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So he's not from the North.
Yeah, no. But I think this activity, the amygdala is there all over the world. It's culture agnostic. Yeah.
In fact, Arpita Yogesh has a related question, and she's saying, how can we control extreme fear? Example, fear of turbulence in flight. There might be certain triggers that lead to extreme fear in people. It could be snake bites for some, or anything. Public speaking for some people, for example.
In fact, Arpita, these are, and when we do coaching, these are absolutely common fears that all of us and many of us actually go through. So for example, if in our childhood, if suppose somebody had in the air crash, or someone has died, and you as a child has heard that somebody very close to your family has died, in your limbic system you decide on that day that I'm not going to fly in the flight, for example, and that starts manifesting even today, when actually speaking there is no fear to be done. So if you start applying the right side processing, when you are going in the flight, telling yourself right side processing stories like, 2 million people travel every day. There has not been any crash in last 5 years. In India, there is no airline that has crashed. Preeti travels 15 days in a month. Yogesh travels 20 days in a month. When you call Preeti, hey, Preeti, I'm taking the flight. Do you think there will be any problem? Preeti, no worries, I'll get on the flight. You do 2-3 times, and then you have gone, that fear is gone away. Yeah. So all that we have got. So I have seen my clients, who were not cycling, because, somewhere in the childhood, the dad said that, don't ride the bicycle, tera pair toot jayega, you will break your leg. The guy decided, but I can't, even today he's 27 years old. He can easily ride a bicycle. People have done swimming, people have done bungee jumping. So, I mean, people on the call, I don't want you guys to go and do bungee jumping or anything, especially in lockdown. But the point is, anything that is you are living with fear is not because of your current capability. It is only because of a decision that has been made sometime in the past. It has no correlation with your performance today. I mean, I am a complete IT engineer. Can you imagine? And I am like doing psychology today, which is a complete 180-degree shift. No background at all. Yeah. So the point is, Sagar Vishwas, who is one of my, very powerful NLP master trainer, who is my partner also in a lot of coaching assignment. He was an automobile engineer and he's become a top-notch NLP master trainer. So anything that is you're dealing with is all because of your past, nothing to do with your current performance.
Wonderful. I think that's a huge barrier that we all face. Our conditioning early on in life holds us back till, I don't know, till very, very old, till old ages as well. And it can resurface in multiple ways.
Yeah. So maybe only one word of caution that, now participants should not go and shower, or get upset with the father that you told me not to ride bicycle, or see, they have done that with real concern for you.
Yeah.
Which means they were really worried about you, they wanted you to be safe, so we should come from that context and we should not get upset, what they did. But we should take responsibility now. Okay,
Yeah.
Meaning anything that you want to do is in your hand, because you have to connect your limbic with prefrontal cortex. You have to calm down your amygdala and take on as many things that you want to take. I mean, and every time I've been doing this for, as Preeti said, for last 9 years, I've done some 100 and I think today is the 186th talk show on emotional intelligence. And the only thing that keeps me going every time is that when participants then come back and tell me that, but this fear is gone. Now I'm able to fly on the flight. I'm able to do swimming. I can do bicycling. My relationship with my spouse has dramatically improved because, I was just having so many automatic stories about her. Actually, there was no reality. And this is another thing, about anger, that see, our mind cannot stop creating perception. So for example, before you came on this call, I think you might have so many thoughts about me or about this topic, about Preeti. Yeah? As you're listening to me, maybe your thoughts are changing about me. You're finding maybe something that you're relating to. The problem is, many a times we take action based on something which is not real. And the action is real. So if you take too many actions which are real on something which is unreal, it is very difficult to go and trace back. Yeah. So my idea is, can I validate those thoughts before I take any action? And if I can learn that, I will start really not getting my amygdala activated again and again, because I am at ease, I am at peace with myself. I am saying, okay, let me validate, then I'll talk, which means it also empowers me to go and talk to people whom I have concerns with, who I am worried about, and then I clarify and then I move forward.
Yeah. So in fact, I want to probe you a little bit on that one. I can see Ravi also saying that, stories that we build in our mind, they trigger a lot of emotions and we need to be in control of them. I want to go back to Shruti, my cousin right now, Yogesh. And I told you after that message, Shruti and I had a long chat. And one of the things that she has a little bit of not a little bit, quite a big fear of is, after all this also, I don't know if my job is secure. So, the next thing that she told me is, Preeti, I know I don't want to go back to office, but I'll have to go back to office because otherwise I know they'll sack me, as it is, layoffs is the next thing that is going to happen now. Now, where is that? So I try to probe her to understand, why do you think they'll sack you? Who's told you that there is going to be certain layoffs? But is this an example of her creating, stories in her own mind?
Oh, completely. I think, Preeti, we create the stories all the time, actually, which has no relation with reality. And, I tell my participant that, and that is where I go back to the routine, which means that if I have got so many initiatives running all the time, then I don't really have time for those stories. Okay, so for example, I'm also a national coordinator for Sahaj Yoga Meditation. I am also a hub lead for International Association of Facilitator. So what is happening is, you start creating an environment around you which constantly keeps you engaged with something which is more productive. So, Narsi is on the call here. He's a phenomenal leader. You meet him one time and you get transformed with the way he will share his own knowledge, his inspiration. And Narsi helped me set up the Hyderabad hub. We have got Amar Chegu on the call. So even if I am creating some automatic story about crossover saying that, hey boss, I don't know whether I will even get some business in next 2 years. I've got so many employees to feed, the monthly payroll has to go. I will actually start even before something happens, winding down my company. But if, IF, which is an organization which is now beautifully teaching all of us how to do engaging virtual programs. So I have no time for, that. Sorry, now the interesting part of the game is assuming that if I don't do all this and a customer comes to me after say 3 weeks and say, hey Yogesh, we have got 200 people, but we really want you to do a fantastic engaging online program. Now I have no skill. I have not done any practice in 3 weeks. I'm just worrying about COVID. I'm worrying about the business not coming. So the business that is already there on the table, I'm not able to execute. So if Shruti was to, instead of thinking about the sacking, if she starts putting a plan saying that, hey, I have not done this banking certification for last 5 years. I know Mr. Damani, who is a very big banker in Bombay. If I can get connected through Yogesh, I can take his advice on how can I improve the domain experience. Yeah, and then irrespective of whether the bank sacks me or not, I will take 5 certifications in the next 2 months because the bank transactions are low. I am sitting at office, there is no work to do. I'll start reading about the certification. So then what happens, assuming that the bank sacks him, but then she will have 5 more banks to take her, because in our society, majority of people are not really developing themselves. They are just watching TV. They are having too much of WhatsApp, forwarding messages, and not. So if you ask people, even, I tell you that many people don't even know how to write basic English. There are 200 courses right now available free on how to write emails. I would rather let people learn how to write email instead of worrying about that. Because if you create automatic story about my job loss, you don't even know whether that is going to happen or not. But you are actually, and again, I'm bringing back to our physiology, which means if I create a lot of automatic story, the body is going to consume my insulin. So after 2 months, your insulin is gone. You have got diabetes. You have not got any new certification. So even you get sacked, you are actually down the hill.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as a country, if we were to start, like really working hard on developing our skill, I don't think there's anybody who, there are so many jobs available. I tell people that if you listen to, Mukesh Ambani, his son is investing heavily in gaming. And if you look at the animation industry, if you look at doodly videos, I think there is such a shortage of video creators. There's another girl called Preeti Agarwal herself on LinkedIn. If you see, every day she posts one doodly video. Today, if I want to create a doodly video, I will contact Preeti Agarwal. I've seen her creating video every day. Now imagine I have to create around 10 videos and so if I were to, I don't even know which city of Preeti belongs to, but I'm willing to give her 4,000 rupees per video, and I can give her 20,000 rupees work right today. So the point is, you can develop a lot of skills which is freely available if you can use your time and not believe any of the automatic stories.
Interesting. So the idea is to recognize that this is an automatic story and stop believing that and be much more productive.
In fact, go and ask your boss, hey boss, am I going to get sacked next Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have courage to do that.
Yeah, if you should.
In fact, that is the point that I want to raise now to you, Yogesh. I think what we've been speaking about so far has been about my own emotions, my own debilitating emotions. How do I move from left side processing to right side processing? But for those of us who are leaders and who have, even if we are not formal leaders, in our family, we may be the role models for, people around us. We may be taking care of parents who are elderly or children in our house or in our office, even though we are not going to office, we are connecting with our team. What if they are the ones going through anxiety or fear or anger or worry or, these emotions, how can I help them, transform themselves?
Very, very, very interesting. And I think a lot of us are going through this. I mean, many of you who know me, I have an interest in spirituality. I read quite a bit on spirituality. And one of the things I want to quote here is that, whichever religion you belong to. So if you're a Christian, you go to a church. If you are a Hindu, you go to a temple. When you go to a temple or you go to a church and, you see the deity there, many a times the deity doesn't even talk to you, but you feel very relaxed inside the temple. There is a sense of calmness that gets established in you. Using this as an analogy, can we become the deity for our team members? Which means that I'm not trying to become a god, but I learn from what those deities have done. Meaning the deities have done enough practice to get themselves ready to the state where the moment you look at them, you get the silence within you. Which means that today I am very worried about my company. We are worried about COVID, but when I'm connecting with my team every day at 11:30, at 2:30, I just don't let them feel that there is this amount of uncertainty that is happening. So we are constantly talking about new solutions, new initiatives. So in the conversation, I'm not shying away from the worry that is happening, but out of the 2-hour call, the worry is only about 10 to 15 minutes where we are acknowledging that, yeah, I think the leads have come down. I think there are not too many customer calls, but what do you think will work? So today I saw, Swiggy's founder joining a company called Pesto, which is going to do, a lot of, contract hiring to companies. So if you need 4 Java developers, you just call them, they will work from home. They can onboard you immediately. Now, today in my call to the team, I said that we have got so much of content available. We have done some video shoot. We have got a studio ready. Can we talk to Pesto and then tell them that every guy who is joining from home, can we do a training for them, how to use a laptop, how to use a camera, how to use some of those tools that they can use. If we can tie up with them. Now, I don't even know. So I know some connect with Swiggy's founders. I can talk to them. But the point to the team is, today they got so excited about it. Everybody started creating the script for Pesto. And I don't know whether in reality this will happen or not. But as a leader, no matter how you are going inside, can I create and keep them active? Because when they are coming back, with positivity next day with your idea, it's like a circle, meaning they will make me busy looking at the video, looking at the script. So who knows if Pesto opportunity comes in. If not, I will tell my new customer who calls me after 3 weeks, what have I done during COVID time? I created this new model for you. Would you like to take for your new joinees? So even if and you should always remember that not only your team members, but even the customer is looking not for that product, he's looking for the energy. Yeah. He's looking for the positivity. So if you can, so I am very worried sometimes, but if you ask my team, and maybe somewhere they also know that he's worried, but he's trying to, maybe make us positive, it's okay. You should be very vulnerable to even that thought. But that pattern is what I want you all to create and not go into this trap of, like I call it as like a pity party and pat party. So pity party, there was kuch nahi ho sakta, this world is like this. Pat parties, yeah, we have done 4 years of work, we have so much of content, I think we can do wonders in future. That's the idea.
That's very interesting. And I love the way you said that it's important to acknowledge the worry and acknowledge the fear, but then it's important to also move on. The acknowledgement deserves space, but only so much space. It's important to then, be the calm one. And in fact, there's this wonderful quote from Narsi. Narsi, thank you for sharing this, where he says, the reality is often kinder than the stories our mind creates out of it. That's so true. A lot of times we overdo, the worrying in our own heads, and then we constantly get into this cycle of self-criticism and, feeling like a victim, etc. If we can just break that, it can really be therapeutic, not only for us, but also for others around us. And another important point that you raised, Yogesh, is we will also feed from the energy of our teams.
Yes.
So sometimes when we feel worried, we are the thought started. We started a thought like you did with your team. And then when they come back with, whatever they've produced, that feeds you. Right?
Yeah, completely.
It's like a support group that we've created around ourselves.
Completely. So, and even your spouse. So, say if, so Anshu works with me in Crossover, and every time when we look at our, we have not generated any invoice in this month, and she tells me, so I have kept her busy in some other work. In the sense, there is so much one could do even in the area that they are. So we are cleaning up all our, past processes, creating new templates, getting our customers to access our data easily. So everybody has got so many opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are at about 4:50 right now, Yogesh. And therefore, I would kind of, open up the chat window for questions. In fact, I can see that there are a couple of questions already there. So I'll draw your attention to those. Ritu Maan is asking a question about working women. And she's saying that, working women are already stretched beyond their capacity with, work and home. And sometimes they may feel more stretched. So how is it that, they can manage their emotions and feelings? And Isha has a related question to say, how do we manage emotions with family members?
So Ritu and Isha, if I were to, ask you to apply right side processing at your home right now, if you can unmute yourself and I can do a small 2 minutes conversation with you, what would you do, depending on who is at your home, if you have to apply right side processing?
So maybe Ritu, if you could unmute yourself and have a chat.
Yes, actually I had missed the initial part of this, the right side conversation. So if you could help me with it, then I'd be
so Ritu, the point is that, our mind can either, so we can call it as negative and positive. So if I were to think about the situation positively and see that people around me, can they help me in my, in my workload? So what would you do with the people? Or maybe people who were there in the beginning, if they can respond to this question on behalf of Ritu, that, if Ritu were to apply right side processing, what could she do?
She could delegate maybe some tasks to their family members.
Very nice, brilliant. Can we clap for Vijayendra?
From my side,
yeah, brilliant, awesome. And Vijayendra,
what if delegation is not possible?
Vijayendra, if Ritu says that it is not possible, and if you were to again apply right side process, what will she do?
See, it is basically first time, yes, they may not, but I will have to tell them. Why it is important, because if I am in a family, I am a part of family. If everybody has to be okay, then that's how mutual sharing or mutually only we can be good. Together we will be good. So it is important to help me out. Maybe I can convince them perseverance.
Brilliant. So Ritu, you should try this out, and maybe me and Preeti can help you get your workload down. That's our promise.
Sure.
Lovely. Yeah.
Because a lot of stories, so I am a working woman and I am in a joint setup, I have my in-laws also at home. If I could just add my 2 bits here, again, it boils down to automatic stories. A lot of things that we feel that, they are not there to help me. Everything is actually up to me. I'm the primary caregiver in my house is my own automatic story. I have created this. Why can't I ask for help? Why do I have to put the pressure of being a superwoman on my own head? In a lot of ways, if I can just challenge that little story that is there in my mind, a lot of new solutions emerge. My 8-year-old son has surprised me with the amount of efficient work that he can do, which I never thought possible. So,
so I really don't know much to cook food, and I am really making an attempt to create dosa in the morning, because I tell Anshu that, aap wo ghol bana ke rakh do, and I will, because she has to maybe, since the maids are not there, grooming and then all that. So this is my 3rd day of trying that, whatever dosa. So now if Anshu keeps encouraging me, saying that, don't worry, I think one day you will get it. I might possibly, but if she destroys my confidence, that was, you will never learn in your life, then I will actually never learn in my life. So we have to take the responsibility to kind of encourage people, that you have not done in the past, but I think try it out and you will be able to succeed. Because eventually, I think all of us will have to start contributing, and we should get this point across to them in a nice way.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have more questions here? I'm just looking for more questions. So Saurabh has a question. What would be your suggestion to managers managing virtual teams? That's a big one, to ensure that teams are engaged and motivated during this phase and, transitioning into the new normal.
Lovely. So Saurabh, I have done this very beautiful session last month in our monthly webinar, and the recording is available on Crossover Leadership Journeys channel. So if you go there, you will see webinars, and in that you see the webinar called Leading Virtual Team. It's a 90 minutes webinar. You can get complete details in the webinar. And then in the comments, if you can post any question, our team will respond to it. It's a very powerful program. I think if you use that, you should be able to manage. We have done 18 workshops in last 6 weeks. So please look at the webinar. It will be very helpful.
And if I can just add to, Saurabh, just give you one important insight around managing these virtual teams. That's about, a lot of people talk about communication. A lot of people talk about, having a routine and having constant check-in calls, etc. But one important thing that I have learned, myself, Saurabh, is every individual in your virtual team is unique and needs a different way of getting managed. So individualize your strategy. Some people may want a lot of connect. Some people may actually not want too much connect. Some people may need a lot of direction. Some people may not need, too much direction. So try and get the pulse of your team and work with them accordingly, even in a virtual setup. Don't have a single, manual that you will follow for each person in your team. So I think that would help, Saurabh, if I could just jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Also, I would like to,
Hi, Indrajit here. So thanks, Yogesh, for that. I've attended quite a few of your sessions. There was one particular question I wanted to ask. So, while I do follow the right-wing method that you had suggested so that amygdala hijack does not happen, I've noticed that there are these occasions when your, the control breaks down. Why do you think that happens? And what do you think are some good ways to ensure that you can do that consistently? It might be relevant to mention that I do meditate. So I try to make sure that, I'm able to control the way I talk to people, how I express people, even if I'm in a negative state of mind. So while I do that, I've noticed that there are some breakdowns at times. So what's the best way to manage that? Thanks.
So Indrajit, thank you for asking this question, and I think many of us will benefit from this. So, just observe one thing. There is a lot of association by us with words, which means that one word can mean a lot to Preeti, to me, to you differently. Okay, just make an observation that in next time when you blow up, just try to recall that conversation and just see which words were getting used in the conversation. And because I'll tell you, so for example, if you tell me idiot, okay, right now on the call, idiot is an English word, no? Meaning it's just a word. So I can associate idiot by saying that this is like such a horrible treatment on a call. I'll tell Preeti, but next time I will never come on your call, or what kind of people you're getting. But if I were to start disassociating that word with any process, and I just say that it's a word, and I can put a new meaning to that word, is what you need to start practicing. Because what is happening is those words that you have started to associate in those moments are triggering those experiences back. Now, you can't ever completely erase that limbic experience of your childhood. What you could do is start becoming aware of those experiences and start giving yourself a new experience. So once you start recognizing, okay, this is particular, either a term or a word or a particular sequence that really triggers me. And if you can spot that, next time you are fully ready to not get so heavily blown up as you have done in the past. But if you don't do that, then you will constantly get into the trap of doing that. And that puts you back on your whole journey, because you start telling yourself, maybe I would never be able to get out of this particular pattern. Now, what is that pattern? Is you have to start observing. So if you start creating, those patterns, you will be able to yourself find that out. And imagine, if all of us were to get this power, which means that no matter what you tell me, it is up to me how am I going to process that. One is a process that I have gone through, which means, and that's where, I feel that, our childhood upbringing is so critical. And many of our parents really didn't know anything about this. So if we were to give a new limbic experience to our children, how they are getting raised. So the challenge that we are facing sometimes may not be faced by them, but no worries. The beauty of our human being is that, as I was telling Preeti one of the other sessions, that EQ is something that you can continue to develop until the last day of your life. But IQ is something that goes deteriorating. I mean, today, if I do a GMAT exam, I might not score the same as I did when I was 24. But if I, build my EQ, it can be till the last day. So Indrajit, just try to recollect if you can. And while you're recollecting, just be very mindful that, sometimes those experiences are, so painful that you almost want to, in some form, take a revenge with the person who gave you that experience. Now, if I were to look at,
I could just a moment, because I can see a lot of people kind of messaging me privately and saying they'd like to leave now. Because
sure. Sure. So I think maybe this topic with Indrajit went so deep. So I think we should thank people who are already, wanting to leave, and they can maybe connect with us. Yeah.
So I'm going to type in a link. I've put in a link in the chat window. It's a SurveyMonkey link I've put in already. Those of you who are in a hurry, if you could just go on to this link, there are just 5 or 6 questions to answer, on 2 things. One is feedback on the webinar, but also your expression of interest in case you would want a similar session to get conducted in your own organization, or a session on another subject, if you would like that to be conducted. Please do take 2 minutes of your time right now to kind of go on this link and help us with this survey. So that's a, humble request from my side. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for everybody.
Thanks a lot,
who is joining. Yeah.
For that amazing analysis.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. I think my pleasure. I think. Yeah.
But those of us who are willing to continue, like I said earlier, Yogesh has been kind enough to be here. So I can see a couple of questions. One is from Arpita, and another one is from Manish, and one from Saina. So I'll start with the one that Manish has, and he's largely talking about the digital lifestyle that we all have these days, and kids especially, they are deep into gaming, etc. How do you change behaviors in this kind of a digital lifestyle is the question that he has.
So I don't know whether I'm an expert in this area, but my sense is that, and that is what I practice at home, that I generally, really do what I think is best, and the kids actually look at me and then they start following. So I think as parents, I think we should keep a discipline for ourselves, like have a certain, amount of time when you are on digital, and give certain digital detox break. Now, and don't get worried about, the kids using too much of, digital, because the future is digital, meaning they are going to maybe get, assessed by playing a game when they go for a job. So I don't think we should take away the digital gadgets from them, but I think very nicely we should explain them the, the discipline that they need to follow, and we ourselves should follow, because if we tell them not to use digital at certain point of time and we use it, then they see it and then they don't follow. So don't worry about digital. I think it is going to stay. Reliance is investing, like Akash Ambani is heavily into gaming. So I think it is going to happen. I see a lot of families today, like we also go online and play Ludo with our 4 of us in our family. So I don't think we should go, but I think we should put a discipline. So generally, say after 10 o'clock, you can avoid, whatever time. I mean, the point is you should not be constantly on the device. There should be times when you are taking a break. You can put a rule discipline in your own family and follow that.
Wonderful. I think one more question, I can see 2-3 questions around this.
Sure.
Which is all about, in this particular period, some of our employees may be actually going into a mild depression. And as HR people, how do we reach out to these employees, and how do we help them emerge out of that?
So, I mean, very valid, and I think there is no denial that we are all going through a tough phase. But I think these conversations that we had, keeping them completely engaged in initiatives, getting them to create a routine of their own, giving them lot of information on where it's like pdfdrive.com, doyouyoga.com, so many resources, Udemy, EDX, Harvard has opened up so many online courses. So depending on the industry you are in, you should put a nice plan for your employees so that they are fully engaged. So the idea is that don't let them, just be idle for a long time, because then all these automatic stories will start coming in, the body will start responding accordingly. And I think then you will have more difficulty to manage. So as an HR, give them lot of positivity with kind of conversation we had. I've also put these videos on the YouTube channel. I think Preeti has the link. If you like, you can send those links to them, let them watch the video. And all those videos I have created with a practice, which means that I ask them to take up a notebook, a pen, they have to write down a lot of things, they have to come back, and there is a series of videos. So they can keep listening, keep practicing, and get the routine. So that set of videos can be good support to you.
Okay, wonderful. I don't see any more questions as of now.
Preeti, sorry,
Radhika,
can I ask a question? Yeah, hi. So it is not really in the organization setting, but more from a personal context, coming back to, how to manage the emotional bit, etc. So it's the same question. And I also live in a joint family. And so now everybody is at home together, and there are situations when I will not say that I really get angry or blown up, but then there is this slight irritation happening all the time when there are two people like you and your mother-in-law or anybody else in the family. There are different ways of doing things. They do it something in a different way, and then you are used to doing a few things in a different way, and those different ways can really be quite opposite to each other. And then there is the stress and slight anger, or maybe some small argument, not really like a big flare up or anger. So, and that this is like this and this is going to happen, and again the next time the same thing happens. How do you really so like Yogesh was talking about, you identify those words and all, and the words which trigger the response. Maybe it's not really the words, but it is the way the things are done differently by different people, and then those ways are really quite opposite to each other. And then you feel and these are just small things happening around the house, and especially now when you are at home, then you are also as a person too involved in these household chores, and you get worked up. So how do you really manage those situations that you need not get into any arguments at all at the home, to keep the environment happy and non-stressful? So that's the question. I don't know if I'm able to, put myself.
No. So Radhika, what you have put, like, I don't know if there is a serial called Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani.
Exactly.
So what you have said is absolutely valid. And, what I, generally when I talk to my, clients or people who ask me this question. So Radhika, see, you have to, maybe sit down and, kind of look at yourself and, where you want to lead your life, in the sense, see, if I were to operate at a level which is little higher than, some of the things that is happening to your life, then some of these small things don't really bother you so much. So right now, maybe you're engaging yourself with those things which are in some form not really great to get engaged with, so even if there is a certain pattern somebody is doing, it's okay. Meaning, you start pushing yourself to a very different purpose where you're living your life, and sometimes it takes a while to get you that purpose. So for example, my purpose for last maybe 10 years is to help people transform. Okay. And my entire day, entire evening, all is there. So I do get irritated by certain things that, say, my mom does, for example, but my energy to live for that human transformation is so high that even if something my mom does those are just momentary thing, and I don't really spend too much time on that. And over a period of time, what is happening is those irritation are like just couple of minutes in a day, versus those irritation completely take over your life. And the other thing is, if you start really looking at the opportunity that you have got today, like you're coming on the call here, you are listening to this set of people, you are listening to this knowledge. Lot of our people at home, I come from a Marwadi community. Many a times when I go and introduce myself in our family, in our Marwadi function, and I tell them, I do this psychometric assessment, I do this coaching. So they say, "Oh, sab theek hai, kaam kya karte ho?" Meaning they don't even get what I'm doing. Okay. So the point is that if you were to start yourself, and when I'm saying this, I'm not saying that really change your profession or change, but start looking at life from a much more bigger perspective where you have more empathy for them. You say that maybe they have never had a chance to look at a new view. So they are all patterned with that pattern. So no matter how much you tell them, they are going to be like that. And if you start empathizing that way, forget about their experience, but your experience with yourself will change, which means that you will get lot of enough time to start focusing on that higher purpose. And to the other extreme, I tell you that, I love Jesus Christ. Although I'm a Hindu, I love reading his, his discourses, and I've read this book called Just Jesus. Amazing book. What in this, if you look at, and you all know that when Jesus was getting crucified, meaning he was being, nailed, he said that these people don't know what they are doing. Yeah. Now we don't get really nailed in our joint family, meaning at the most, the way they cook dal is not the way I like to cook, or the way my mom cooks salad is not the way I like. Yeah, these are very small thing. It doesn't really bother. Those moments it bother. But when you look at Jesus, that you're talking about crucifixion, and he's taught us that even at that level, I think I can still forgive. That's an awesome experience. I want you to start experiencing, and that gives you a very, very higher level life. Altogether. Then some of these don't bother. And then what happens is that what you thought is bothering you actually is not bothering you. It's just their pattern of living. And they never thought that they want to bother Radhika. Okay, it's just that we processed it that they want to bother Radhika. And then there is no end to that, meaning from morning to evening, you can keep finding something that you don't like. And that you don't like is also coming from your limbic experience. So what if I were to create a new limbic experience for myself?
Yeah. And also, I think, finding that purpose, like you said, Yogesh, truly, that can be the transformation, the beginning of transformation in life. And like Rahul has also mentioned, Ikigai is a great book that I have read. And there are a lot of, interesting videos around Ikigai that you can find on YouTube. But finding that larger purpose, which fuels you much more than these small everyday happenings. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, Radhika, I hope we were able to, I was able to help you. And I know it's not easy, but, so I always, like to give this phrase, and I think Aurora is from maybe North, so I can give a Hindi phrase. So, there is this phrase called, "Kuch to majburiyan rahi hongi, nahi to wo bewafa nahi hote." Yeah. Yeah. If I were to apply this, then what happens is that, whenever this girlfriend meets me, at least I have the opportunity to propose him again. Na? Ke bhai, so हमारे इन लोग के लिए भी ये बोलने का कि यार कुछ तो मजबूरी है इसीलिए वो ऐसा कर रहे हैं.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Right. Thank you. And I think both of you, thanks so much. I think I'll try on this direction, operate your life from a higher level. Completely. And then all this will become probably meaningless, and these chutput things happening in the house.
Yeah, but only thing, careful, Radhika, one thing I just want to warn you is that when you start living, don't treat the other people as यार तुम्हारा life में कुछ दम ही नहीं है type.
नहीं.
You just see, I am leading here, so you are all like, untouchable. No, not that. You should really have empathy from inside.
Understood. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Good. Thank you so much.
One more reminder to all of you to quickly fill the SurveyMonkey form. I think I've put it again on the chat screen. Very, very important for us to get your feedback.
Yeah. I can see, I don't know if Amar is there, Mamta, I can see they're still logged in.
I can see a lot of Shairi, Yogesh, on the chat screen.
Kya baat hai, awesome, brilliant.
From Chaya also, and from, I think from Chaya.
Oh yeah, in fact, Chaya Somani's father was a awesome poet. He's written brilliant poems actually. So I think I know Wonder Chaya, and in fact we have, I think, Narottam Damani also on the call here, and I think he is also one of the very learned English literature guy. He reads quite a bit. So I think we have got a solid team today. Indrajit, I think one of Hyderabad's.
Isha has a question, Yogesh, which I want to draw attention to. I think she's already asked this in the past also. Sorry, I missed that, Isha, earlier. She's saying, if there are political manipulative people at work, can EQ help us deal with them?
Oh, so Isha, what you are now creating is about automatic stories about them. In the sense, they are, they are doing that because somewhere, I think there was lack of information which led them to behave like that. So if you were to, not even label them as political and just label them as different, you will have many opportunity to have conversation around that. So today what is happening is the moment I label somebody political, I don't even want to have a conversation with the person because I said, बस उससे बात करके कोई फायदा नहीं है. Yeah, and I'm not telling you to do this, like a gift to them. I am telling this to do this for yourself, because what is happening is when you are actually treating somebody like this political, you are actually damaging yourself, because it is like, drinking poison thinking that the other person will die. Okay, so whether you have the conversation or not, but you have to not label anybody. We should always say that, okay, maybe what is the experience they are getting? Why are they behaving like this? Why are they going and talking to somebody else about me or somebody else? How can I solve this? How can I do right side processing with them? Whom can I get involved in them? And work with through that. Now, when you get the result, I don't know, but at least the experience during that period is very awesome for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the whole labeling of people might be your own automatic story. Very nice.
Completely, absolutely.
Right.
So Isha, keep us posted on the political people. How has been your experience?
The different people.
Different people. Awesome.
Okay, great. I think time for us to, wind up unless you have any more questions.
Yeah. I can still see almost 24 people still on the call. Yeah.
So I want to formally thank each one of you. I think a few people have missed my thank yous because they left a little early. Thank you so much for joining in. And Yogesh, thank you. A big thank you to you for sharing your pearls of wisdom. I personally have gained a lot. I think quite a few things, right side processing versus left side processing, controlling our automatic stories, getting out of a worry loop by building a, productive routine for every day, taking control of our amygdala, calming our amygdala to manage anger, being the calm force in the middle of the chaos as a leader. I think those are really, really important takeaways for me.
Yes.
I don't know how to thank you enough for this.
No, my pleasure. I think this topic is so dear to my heart that, anytime you want me to, in the middle of the night, you can wake me up and I can do the session on this.
Yes, absolutely. So those of you who are interested in having a session of this nature conducted with Yogesh, please write into us, and we are very happy to connect back with you. You would already have our email address in the invite that you have got, but I'm typing it out again. My personal email ID for all of you to write to me in case there is something that you want done, not just on this topic, but any other topic. We are, both Yogesh and us at Catalyst, we are doing a multitude of virtual sessions and with a lot of success. So do write into us if you need any help.
Yeah, so thank you, Preeti, for organizing this. I think having 60, 70 people on a webinar is an awesome feel in a time when there are so many webinars happening.
Absolutely.
So I think we had a good time. Yeah.